Today I'm going to teach you some basic detection in From the Depth and my 5 levels of preset detections of complexity, where level 1 can be placed on smaller cheap ships and level 5 is like for the real big stuff. And some other general tips. But we will display everything on this little hull tug, so I think level 5 will be looking pretty funny. Anyways, let us begin. So, when starting in From the Depth, you don't need to know like exactly everything, but you will need to have a decent starting guide on how to get detection efficient on your builds. So, here I'm going to show you the levels, and of course we will begin with placing down an AI mainframe with some expansion capabilities and also a transmitter. Something you also might want is an inter-vehicle transmitter, which means that different vehicles can share the same detection. This will basically broadcast detection, like it says, transmit detections from connected mainframes to mainframes on all other nearby vehicles. So basically, if you have a network of half-shitted detections, they will all get pretty good detection. So that can be a smart thing to have when you have vehicles fighting in a group. Anyways, here we have detection components, and you can see there are a lot of them, but I'm going to show you the most basic setups. So let's go with level 1 detection. And level 1 detection is kind of the baseline detection you will you really need at least this to have some kind of decent aiming and stuff like that. So we are just going to build a tiny little block here, and we are going to add a wireless receiver so it can communicate with the mainframe. We could of course build it on top directly on the mainframe, but we don't want to get everything nuked by one EMP, so it's better to separate them like this with wireless receivers and stuff. And we go to detection equipments, and here you can find laser rangefinder tracker, and you can find the camera 360. So here we have like level 1 detection. There is one 360 camera and there is one laser rangefinder. The laser rangefinder does need line of sight, so it will be like blocked if you place any blocks over or beside it. That line of sight will be blocked. So when it comes to trackers can track quite accurately a target that's already detected. So the tracker will basically, like, imagine you're inside a tracker and you will be able to look at the target. If you can't see the target, the tracker also can't see the target. The 360 cameras are a little bit, or the 360 systems are a little bit different. They notice if there is any block all the way up, all the way in front of it, back of it, or to the sides, like just one block. So, for example, if we would place some random block kind of here, we would actually not block anything of the 360 camera. It would be not affected by this block. However, the tracker that's just underneath it, this will actually be blocked in this angle here, because the tracker actually needs to see things, and the detectors, like the camera, are a little bit more simple. But you can use this simpler setup to be able to protect them better, which is nice. And as you may just automatically understand, detectors detect the targets, and when they are detected, the trackers can track them as long as they have them in sight. Alright, here we can go to the mainframe, and you can see not enough processing power. And that means it basically doesn't have the processing capabilities to process the data. And you can see here, it's only working on 64% of the detection. So we'll need to add one more like this. And now it's 96, so it's almost 100%. And you want to keep it at 100%. So we'll just add a couple, and maybe we'll need to add a good couple later with our more advanced detection systems. Now these, it might change, coming on, but these cost 100 material each, so you may not want to spam too many of these processing cards. Alright, and when we go to the detection, the components again, you can see in the information here that a 360 camera requires 3 units of general processing power. A 90-degree camera requires 2 units of processing power. And we also have like radar needs 2, and like some trackers, like the camera tracker needs 1, but the laser rangefinder only needs 0.1 units of general processing power. So like the laser rangefinder is kind of cheap to have. So like you could probably have like several of these. Also remember that a tracker can only track one target at a time. If your vehicle needs to engage several targets, even if it's a very simple vehicle, like say that this vehicle has broadside systems like cannons on both sides and it's made to combat 2 targets at the same time, we actually need to set up like trackers. Say we want to engage 1 target on front and 1 on each side. We could do a setup like this. Alright, now you know some basics on the detection. Let me now show you the level 2 of the detection. So what we're going to do now is we are actually going to add more trackers. And also, some of these like cylinder type units like retroreflective sensor and of course the laser rangefinder, some of these can actually be placed under the like a 360 or other unit. Usually they don't connect, like we couldn't place that one there and assume that the one above it is connected. It's just some of these modules actually leads through the connection. It's a little bit weird, but that's how it works. Anyways, let's go on with level 2 of our little detection here. So, this one will be a little bit like the level 1, but just an improvement. So, it will have better tracking, which will make the weapons fire more accurately. We want to have another laser rangefinder, but we also want to have a gimbal camera tracker. So even though I said we shouldn't do this, we can't build it here because let me just show you. If we would build the tower exactly here, we actually are blocking the camera backwards. You can see it just cares if it's a straight line or not. And also I said to not connect it because decrease the total EMP annihilation risk, and that's not something we want. So let's build it here instead. Connected with a wireless receiver. There we go. Here we have a little tracking tower. And we're going to components and we are going to select the camera gimbal tracker. Cameras are the best all-around systems for accuracy. However, they have some disadvantages, like radar can detect some stuff better at longer range, and radar is also not blocked by smoke. The laser rangefinder and the cameras are blocked if the enemies deploy smoke. They will be less accurate, but the radar are more accurate. But if we want to keep the systems a little bit cheaper, like this, a smaller system, this is the level 2. We have one 360 cam for detection, 2 laser trackers, and 1 camera tracker. You could only have a 360 camera and it would get some kind of idea of where the enemy is and will aim and fire the guns. So trackers are necessary in what way? That they give more accurate estimates. Like if you only have a camera, it will detect the enemy and it will try to aim, but it will be so inaccurate, and you know, a laser rangefinder is so cheap you might as well have a couple of them. So here is level 2. You know, the cameras are real good, accurate ones. Like the camera is quite nice at bearing. The camera gimbal tracker is like the supreme bearing thing. It will exactly know where the enemy is, but the laser rangefinder is kind of good to detect the range to the target, which is of course very relevant. So this is a nice balanced little setup, and you can of course place them where is fit for your vehicle. Alright, let me show you the level 3 of the detection. So we will go up here, and we will now remove this one, because we are going to place one of the laser rangefinders here instead, because my level 3 is a 360 camera, 2 laser trackers, 1 camera tracker, 1 360 radar, and a radar tracker. And this will be able to help you to detect enemies on further range if they are large, use a lot of heavy armor, or like metal that is not sleek or anything. Like basically, radar easily detects like big bulky targets from long range with like heavy armor, visible structures, sticking out weapons, but may miss like alloy, streamlined, stealthy stuff, because those cameras will actually see first. So it's not a good idea to only rely on radar. You will want to have some kind of camera on your system. So anyways, we're gonna place a radar here. We wanna have it decently high like that, so it can see a little bit over the water, to get not blocked by anything that's in the way, which is very smart of course, because like of course if you have the radar exposed or something like that, it will get shot off, but like honestly the radar does its best job when it's kind of a bit away from the target, you know. And we also want a radar gimbal tracker. So we're gonna place a little radar gimbal tracker just below here, because like of course it will get blocked if the target is behind it. So now we kind of optimize it for having tracking targets in front of it. Like let's say we have some kind of long range mortars on this ship. I think it would die from the recoil, but let's say we had it. Like remember that I show you all the levels, but like level 4 and 5 is only relevant for really big ships, and I think this is too small for that kind of an advanced system. It's like, it takes too much space and it doesn't have so many weapons available to put in here, so it doesn't like motivate this kind of big detection, but you know, I'm just showing it all here, just so you know. And then we do want to have a camera gimbal tracker. So here we have a little camera gimbal tracker, so it will see enemies like that. We have 2 laser trackers and we have 1 camera. So I moved the camera here just because we need more systems in there, basically. Well, this is it for the level 3, so ignore this little thing in the front here. It's unused currently, but we should of course move on and show you the level 4. So the level 4, we actually will skip the visual camera of 360. And this might be surprising, I don't know, but the thing is that there is a difference between the 360 camera and the 90-degree camera. Like the 90-degree camera is so much more accurate than the 360 camera. So much more accurate. And it basically, you need probably 4, 5, 6 of these 360 cameras, that many, to give the same accuracy as one 90-degree camera. So we're going to have one 90-degree camera, but this only sees in a degree of 90 degrees. Surprise, surprise. Which means we will actually need to get more cameras. So we need to put a 90-degree camera facing in any direction we might suspect we will have an enemy, which is forward, to the sides, upwards, and probably also behind the ship, because otherwise it will be a little bit scary. So here we have it. We have all of that. And now you can see this one has gone very sad. It needs more processing power. And basically my tip is just add these units until it stops complaining. And because we're going to upgrade this thing later, I'm just going to add way too many, but just have as many as you need, because otherwise it's a waste of resources basically. But yeah, that's very relevant if you play like survival. But now it has some good processing power. Beautiful. So in my little chart I actually have 4 90-degree cameras, but yeah, we guess we don't need one behind it, but it depends on the vehicle. This is a small vehicle, say it's going in close, and probably it's a good idea to have it. And now we have kind of placed all the detection systems in a clump like this, and of course that's not the most protective way to have it. But when we go to level 5, I will give you some better like protective options and show you how to do that, because yeah, just wait for that so you can get a little understanding on how to best place the systems to protect them better. Now I just show you a good equipment to choose, basically set levels for different stuff, and like okay places to place them. But we want to protect them a little bit more, because as you understand, like this 90-degree camera, we can have like protect it on all other sides than like forwards facing. So yeah. And here we also added this little another camera gimbal tracker, because the camera gimbal trackers are great, and we might want to actually target 2 enemies at the same time with a very accurate estimate. So then we need 2 of them. So this is basically level 4. We have visual 90-degree cameras in all directions we need. We got 2 laser range finders. We got 1 360 radar, gimbal radar tracker, and yeah, 2 camera gimbals, so we can keep track of several targets. So let's move on to level 5, which is like basically the last recommended level for like most vehicles. Like if you make a super enormous vehicle, of course you can have more, but you can basically add just more for like redundancy. So if one gets taken out, you still have another one, but you know, that's for really big ships. Like level 5 detection, the set I give you here is very good for very big ships. You usually don't need more than that. But I will go through some other additional tips that you may have wondered, like for example, why haven't I talked to about sonars yet? Well, we are coming to that. All right, let me present you with level 5. So at level 5, which should be enough for basically everything, for like most big crafts. And even though I show like all these detection things on a boat, this tutorial is for any build, like level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is for like any build should have this. It could be an airship, an airplane, a boat, you know, tank, something. The thing is, however, we will go through some specific things later. Like everything I have showed you to this point is general detection levels, which are my recommended general detection levels. So let's take a little look at level 5. Here we have cameras facing forwards. You can see we have a clear line of sight forwards to each of the sides, and upwards we have a little module facing upwards here. We have 2 radar gimbal trackers, 2 camera gimbal trackers, and 4 laser range finders. Like this laser range finder, for example, is here for redundancy, so that we can still target enemies if like this entire tower has been shot off, or you know, you basically want some different detection setups for redundancy. So here we can see we have like the same tower here and here. Of course, this ship is too small for this many detectors, so this is just a model, but you would want to have them more apart and more protected. And here we have a radar tower with radar detection on all angles. And of course, if we would have an airplane, it would be relevant to have a radar facing downwards as well, of course. But that kind of makes sense, I suppose. And, you know, if you'd have an aircraft, a radar detector behind it would probably not be very relevant. But that's basically the level 5 for you. So we're going to talk about some specific detection things. Like, if you are engaging very fast targets, like fighter jets or something like that, you would want to have an additional system. And this applies even if you are an aircraft and you want to be able to more accurately hit tiny aircraft, you would want this little addition. So what we're going to have is we're going to have IR, infrared cameras. The infrared cameras are updating faster than the other systems. Like if we go in here and look at detections, we can see we have an IR camera, and it is giving a more updated or fast update of where the target is, which is why it's good to have against very fast targets. Of course, cameras are pretty fast too, but IR cameras are even faster, and sometimes the seconds really matter. So let's place a 360 IR camera here. And then we could instead use several 90-degree IR cameras for more accurate estimates, of course. And on top of that, we also want an IR gimbal tracker. So let's place one there and another one on top of here. And we should be able to better track enemy aircraft and shoot them down with this system installed to the AI. And then we come to another little specialty. Let's say that you are facing enemy submarines. If you are facing enemy submarines, you will need sonars. Sonars is basically like radars, but underwater. They send out the ping and wait for the ping to come back, and then they know where they are. And cameras, IR cameras as well, do not work underwater. So, if you are a submarine or if you are facing submarines, you will need to have one of these little sonars. This is like the basic submarine detection. This is a simple 360 active sonar that pings your enemies to find them. Passive sonars only listen for vehicles pinging your vehicle with their sonars. So it's not as good as a real sonar. If you are a submarine or if you are searching submarines, it's better to go with a proper sonar, even though the passive sonar is a little bit more stealthy. If you want to have more accurate sonar detection, you can instead opt for a sonar which is only 90-degree sonar, and you could have several of them. Or of course, you could have a 360 and a normal one, like mix them like that too. So you only have a proper sonar in one direction, you really expect the enemies. Anyways, sonar is basically the only thing you can have if you're underwater. But there is one more system you can have, which is a wireless snooper. It basically listens for enemy vehicles' wireless transmissions, so the AI send a lot of like wireless stuff on like the enemy ship. It kind of sends around some information, and you can then listen with it here. And it just, it just listens for wireless signals. It's like not super accurate, and does rely on that the enemy has wireless systems on board, which it usually has, but it's a very good thing to pair with a sonar, and also will bypass any smoke, so it could be a backup to your radars. But anyways, if you are a submarine, then definitely use that, and you can also use it to detect submarines, because the submarine may indeed have some wireless technology on it. So there we have it. Now we will go through and learn how to protect our systems. So of course, now again, we have a very advanced detection system on a very tiny boat, and the armor is of course not up to standard really for this level of equipment. You would want much more protection if you would want to protect a nice valuable system like this. Like this is real nice. This is real nice detection. You wouldn't wanna waste this by not having enough armor. I'm just adding wood here because I don't know, I don't have a reason. The rest of the ship is wood, but of course we wanna add some like probably wanna have some better protection. Let's make alloy. If we use metal, we're probably gonna tilt the thing. So here we can see we can actually do like this. We can have a beam, and we can make a little radar tower and protect it with alloy. So, as you will understand by now, I hope, the radars can be in kind of wells of detection, like this. So we can set it up like this, so they are kind of protected one block in, or even more than one block in is also fine. And we may also smooth out the sides a little bit so it can deflect a couple of shots here. So you can have a nice little radar tower, just showing the principles. Now this one, the active, of course we can protect this. We cannot protect the active gimbal tracker, anything, but we can protect the laser rangefinder. If you go in here into AI and detection, you can see that for the camera on the end here can see through glass blocks. Can see through glass blocks. It can see through glass blocks. And if it can see through glass blocks, I do not believe the IR can see through glass blocks. Like, it doesn't say it can, so I assume it can't. Real IR cameras can see through glass, so it would make sense that these IR cameras can see through glass. So basically, many of the laser rangefinder can also see through glass. Oh, and if I didn't mention this, there is something called a telescope. And currently, it has the exact same stats as the camera, but it is elevated one block above, so it's a little bit higher and it looks a little bit cooler. But they are, it's a little bit more expensive. I think its only advantage is that it's elevated a little bit. Anyways, you can use that for aesthetic reasons if you want. But let's go through and protect this thing. Here we have glass. We are going to make a little glass box to protect the laser rangefinder. No, it's behind glass. And as you might assume, we will protect some other stuff with glass. Like this one, the visual camera can also see through glass. So we can make a little glass bubble like this, and even smoothen it out so shots will be deflected a little bit. You know, it's not the world's best protection, but it may deflect light shots that would otherwise completely deleted the block. And it will also protect like one time against some shots. So it can also distance like the explosion. If you have a really large glass bubble around the visual cameras and stuff, it will like protect them from explosions. Something I like to do is paint the glass with like, I think it's this color. So it kind of looks a little bit more high-tech. And of course you'll need to like paint all of them, because otherwise it looks weird. So it doesn't look like you're having a glass bubble. It more looks like some cool technology. I don't know. Like this, basically. You can have that. It doesn't care if it's colored or not even transparent. It can still see through it. Ooh, and here we have the cameras. We are going to make some real nice protection for these cameras. We're going to firstly have a 2-meter beam in front of them, like that, and we are going to make some wells. I don't know, I call them wells. I think other people call them wells. So what we're going to do, yes, well, we are going to make a little, here we go. And we can have one there, like that, perfect. I think you kind of get where I'm going with this. Like a pretty advanced little protection here. So they will basically be protected inside tubes of metal, like this. Okay, we should use bigger beams, etc., etc. But I'm just putting them down so you can see the principle of this, like that. And we will not block anything. If we build one block above it, we will not. Then we can indeed add some nice deflecting slopes here. And of course, as in my armor tutorial, do slope things and you will make yourself a tremendous favor. Okay, like that. Okay, let me remove a few blocks here for our convenience. So you can see, the camera can still see through, like 100%, works completely fine. It is a little bit behind, but you know, it's well protected in there. It's very unlikely that these cameras will be taken out in the first place now. So there we have some basic protection of these ones. Well, here we have a nice protected level 5 detection. And if you want my little chart here of the detection levels, you can find it in the description as a little download thing or just text. Anyways, I will now show you one last little tips for today, which is actually how to set up a decent system for an aircraft, a fast aircraft. So we are just going to place down a little template there. Now we already have the AI here, so we will go directly with like the detection systems here. So we can just remove this side. Let's say this is a new vehicle and it's an aircraft. So what type of detection should we have on this? Well, because it's an airplane, we don't have infinite space. We have a little bit of limited space, so we probably want to have, we want to limit the types of detection we do use. Right, so what are we getting? Just gonna remove some blocks here so we can properly work inside this thing. We can set up a little, oops, not that one, wireless receiver like that. Now we are connected to the mainframe. We want to go with IR cameras, IR tracker, and radar. And this is because we want to be able to get a fast estimate, fast tracking, fast everything on what we are attacking. So we will have here detection equipment, IR gimbal tracker. We're going to have a tracker here. And we are going to have a IR camera in the front like this. And also, I think we'll need one. Actually, I think we'll just go with one of these 361s for convenience. Right. Then we also want an additional system. We want a radar for a little bit, or not a little bit, like you see here. Range error 10%, radar range error 0.4%. We want a little radar here as well, so that we can compensate for, so that we can compensate for the range. So with this radar, we'll see a 90 degrees angle forwards to us, a pretty good estimate of range, which is really decent if we're gonna have, you know, bombs and stuff. So there we have it, a little basic setup of how you can set up the detection systems for an airplane. Well, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, here we have it. A little simple guide for getting into detection in From the Depth and 5 preset levels, as well as some general and specific tips. Hope this will help you getting started, getting some nice detection going on there, and make the most out of your vehicles so that they will hit their targets. Oh, an additional note, before you'd had to go in here and set like auto adjust and stuff on the detection, but this is not the thing anymore. It should do that automatically, and there is no automatic adjustment button anyways, so you would not need to care about this normally, which is fine. Very nice, very nice. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please leave a like and do subscribe for more From the Depth tutorials. This is your host, Jim Madesen, signing out. See you next time.